Hello everyone, and welcome to today's tutorial on how to make this energy flowing effect. So, let's get started. Let's make a new plane in a new scene right here, and let's extrude this plane on the y-axis by quite a bit. Now, to fix the UV maps, select the first plane and then the original plane, and select Follow Active Quads. What this will do is add in the UV map going that way without stretching or altering the original UV map as we can see here. Let's go back into our original shader setup right here and make a new shader. Let's input the UV map as we can see here. We can see it's working quite well, and use a converter separate XYZ node. As we can see, we have this kind of cross gradient here that if we use a color ramp, set this up and set this one to black, it fades out the edges, which is what we want. Next, we're going to add in a mix RGB node, set this to linear light, and use a noise texture using the UV map once again to alter the fall off. As you might think, wow, this isn't working, it's clipping off at the edges. Well, we can fix that by very easily using a math, power, and set this to something like 4. This will help us in the future because the fall off of light or emissive materials is kind of different than you would think. This power node really helps with that. So, let's set the scale of this to something like 2, and set the distortion to about 1. As we can see, we're already getting a very nice kind of wispy, flamey effect. And next what we're going to do is add in a emission node, as we can see here, and a transparent node. Make sure the transparent one is on top. Add in a mix shader. I have the node Wrangler add-on, so I did that with just a shortcut. Put the power into the factor right here. Put that in there. And as we can see, it's not working quite right. That's because we need to set this to alpha blend and the shadow mode to none. If you're using the cycles render engine, you don't need to worry about this. So next, what we should do is add in a color ramp node, and this will give us a more gradual fall off, more fitting for emissive textures like this. Set the middle to black and set this to B spline. As we can see, the fall off, it's looking like it won't work, but it will once we turn up the strength value. As we could see, it's looking quite nice. Let's set it to something like orange. You could set it to blue or whatever you like. I really like the blues and the oranges, but we'll stick with more of a gold and yellow hue. Let's set the strength to about 40. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. And next what we are going to do is add in some animation to this. So let's add in a vector math node, set this to add. This is so we can move the texture later. And have the input, have this be a value, and let's have this be the time input by putting in hashtag frame, and I like having this as divided by 24/24, just so that it's a bit slower and we can edit it easier using a vector math node later. So let's do that, and as we can see, it is updating with the frame. Let's add in the vector math node that I mentioned earlier, and plug this into the add node. And as we could see, if we set this to something like 1, it's moving the texture, which is exactly what we want. So let's set this to around 2. And if we edit the Z value here to something like 0.1 or 0.2, I'll exaggerate it a bit just for the tutorial, you can see that the flame is kind of evolving over time. So to customize this a little bit, let's add in another vector math multiply node, set the scale to 1, but maybe the y-axis to 0.1. That seems a little bit weak. Let's say 0.2. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. And that is basically the entire effect. Let's change and hone in a few settings. Like, no, let's stick with the yellow. Make a bit more golden. Let's pull in the B-spline. And yeah, that's looking quite nice. If you want to add like various quote-unquote seeds to this, so that they don't look like they're clones of each other, just go into the UV editing tab and just move this up. As we could see, now these two look like they have different seeds. Let's add in another one, like the original video, and just move this up even more. And yeah, 3 separate streams look completely different from each other. and it's looking quite nice. Again, changing the colors make it look cool. Blue looks especially good again. And if you want to change the strength of the noise value, just edit the linear light value right here. Now this is looking more like flames almost. But as we know, flames don't usually go that far, so let's bring that down to a 0.5 again. Editing the power level, that just constrains it even more. Usually about 4 should be good enough, but if you want to lessen it, you can. And yeah, is there anything else I need to cover? I think that's pretty much it. So, if you want to support my channel, look at my Twitter account. You can see all my pretty much live projects there as I'm developing them. If you want to see more of my YouTube videos, YouTube, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you want to download some of my projects, look at my Gumroad page. There's tons of free and some paid courses or blend files there for you to download. So, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next tutorial.